Play founder and CEO, esports coach at the Southern University Lab, and gamer. Discussions on the emergence of esports at the K-12, collegiate, and professional level. Let's go! Let's go play.
Hi, this is your host, Christopher Turner. This is another episode of Go Play Esports Podcast. If you've been paying attention, this is Season 2, Episode 13. So we have a special guest as always. It's Wim Stocks. If you don't know, he's labeled as a godfather of gaming, making gamers millionaires. There's a bunch of taglines I could say about Wim, but for certain, he has figured out the space. And I'm going to love hearing some of his background and some of his takes on some of the topics that I'm going to bring up today. Without any further, I want to introduce Kovacs to you guys. If you've been watching recently, Kovacs is our sponsor this season. Kovacs is a first-person shooter aiming training software with customized exercises. My players use it in my high school program and my collegiate program. They're going to start using it next semester. I use it. And so without any further ado, I want to show you how good it's gotten me at Call of Duty. Check this out. First person to hit me up on Twitter, that's Go GEAUX Play ES on Twitter. The first person to DM me wins a code. You can go download it on stream if you're a PC player and you love Call of Duty, Overwatch, Fortnite, any of those first-person shooters, and you want to get your aim better, you want to get your timing right, eye-hand coordination better, Kovacs is the way to go. So, like I said before, our guest today is Wim Stocks. I'm actually going to bring Wim in right now. Hey, Wim, how you doing?
Christopher, how are you? Happy Memorial Day to you and all at Southern University and A&M College. How are things in Baton Rouge? Warm day down there?
It is a warm day. We had a quote-unquote cool front, but it's always hot in South Louisiana, so it's not humid, but it feels good. It feels like springtime. Wim, how about you?
I'm in Minneapolis, where we finally have a good day. You would have said it was still winter up here up until about 3 days ago. So, but we're going to get some of your weather end of the week. Big 90-degree days, humid. We're going to have a Baton Rouge kind of day up here at the end of the week. And I just have to say, I told you this as we were walking on. I have to give a shout out to your football coach, Jason Rollins, who's good friends with my neighbor, Derek Keys, who's a strength and conditioning coach for the Minnesota Vikings. So
sure,
we're circling all the right people and the right energy together here.
It is, I'm going to make sure I tell Coach Rollins, and I'm going to show him a clip of this, man, and send it to him and his family, man. They're going to really enjoy it. I have the pleasure of working with his wife, and also I just taught his son last semester, so shout out to Coach Rollins and Coach Derek for knowing each other, man. Small world, like I said before.
He's my neighbor. He lives right upstairs. He's a super guy, and he and his wife have gotten to be really good friends of mine. So that's
yeah. So I want to dive right into it. You know, I do a 30-minute show. Sometimes we go over a little bit with them, so we're not like on a time crunch. But it's no way I can cover your career in 30 minutes. And so I want to get into, like, you know, just giving my audience a background on who is Wim Stocks. You know, how did you come to this level within esports and gaming?
Well, I have had the good fortune of this has been my career, gaming, and somebody said to me, well, you've been in gaming as long as there's been in gaming. And I don't think that's quite right. But I've been in it at a long time, and I was a math major. I wasn't very good. You know, when you're a math major, you get into coding, and I wasn't very good at coding, but it did turn me on to sort of the technology world and realm, and computing was I did it professionally right out of college. I went to work for AT&T, but not long after saw the opportunities in more the software realm, but quickly merging into gaming back in the early days of Sierra Online, with some of the great Gabriel Knights games. Those were really early adopters with multiple floppy disks that you had to load in. 7 to 12 floppy disks just to get a game to operate.
Get a full game
on your computer, yeah. But that's where it started, and I give my dad credit for getting me on this path. He had, in our basement growing up, we had pinball machines, and by the time I was 8, I could take a pinball machine apart and put it back together again. That was electric, really, or electronic gaming to a degree. But I loved pinball growing up. There didn't really have anything else other than, kind of board games. But that was the diving board, so to speak, that got me into gaming and kept me on a great track. And so after being in the publishing realm, I really started in the early 90s. But after being in the publishing realm, up until 2006, 2007, got involved in online gaming. And from there, it was all about multiplayer. And from there, it was a matter of 3 years to get involved with a small startup that was called World Gaming. 2 young guys built this. They saw the opportunity to build a tournaments platform when people still weren't competing. It didn't really have the means by which to compete. If they were competing, they were networking their Xboxes together and all driving to a hotel in Florida to play Madden tournaments. And these young guys said, well, this is the 21st century. We can figure out how to do this a lot more easily. So built a tournaments platform. I joined them to help launch the company, raise money, launch the company, and World Gaming became Virgin Gaming, went back to World Gaming. We bought Collegiate Star League, where we did a lot of great work in building collegiate presence for esports. And to this day, CSL is one of the largest and most influential in helping colleges understand esports, get involved in esports, not just from a competitive perspective, but also from helping develop events and curriculum and all the other things. But the piece, and really where this leads to for me as it relates to my current realm, is that we're all about building, and we started this at World Gaming and CSL, all the pro realms really getting nicely organized. It's a great thing. That's the inspiration for what's happening in esports. Go ahead, Juan. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you.
So we were always about, while these pro realms are being built, it was very clear what was missing, and that's the infrastructure, the developmental realms, the amateur feeder. If you're an 8-year-old basketball prodigy, you pretty much know what you need to do to get to the next step, where you need to go.
It's a pipeline.
It's a pipeline. There's a very well organized pipeline, and it encompasses junior high, encompasses grade school to junior high to high school to college to post college to amateur and semi-pro and G League and all those kind of things. But as you know, that doesn't exist in esports, and where college has really helped. And I used to defend college so much in the early days. Well, why do we need college? Why all these pro realms are forming nicely. Why do you need college? Well, you need college for funnels, and you need high school to funnel for college. No different than traditional sports. So that's been my mantra through the World Gaming and CSL realm, and now as part of the Vindex organization in Belong Gaming, we're building more local infrastructure for esports. I don't know about you, Christopher, but I grew up playing in a sandlot playing baseball. And not only was it where we played baseball, but we hung out there too. It was a full day. You're right. Full day, and you might play baseball for a couple hours, but you hung out with your friends. It was a great place to socialize. Those don't exist for esports, and that's what we're building at Belong. These hyper local neighborhood facilities almost that form into a market presence, and then that whole market presence is networked together via digital networks. So what could start as a very local sort of activation or a tournament or an initiative or for content or whatever can quickly scale up for both a national presence, as well as we also have arenas in the UK. So what starts very, very hyper locally can blow up and amplify into something international pretty quickly. So that's again in my realm I'm so passionate about and really know that when we can build this infrastructure, it's happening in so many ways. We can build this infrastructure. It's going to take esports even further than it is already. So that's my background and my current view of the world.
Yeah, for sure. And we gotta let me backtrack. I want to backtrack because let me put this in scope for you. One. So you mentioned the sandbox and going play in the field. Like I'm 37, so like I'm probably that last generation that actually experienced that. But I also was introduced to the floppy disk going 7 to 12 times to get a game over. And then, we were introduced to one of the brands that you were a part of. And I want to kind of backtrack and let you talk about your role in bringing Atari back and what it is today and what your involvement was in that.
This was during my publishing realm. I was running sales, marketing, distribution, all the business side for a company called GT Interactive. And GT Interactive, for those of you who played games in the 90s, probably GT Interactive cornered the market on first-person shooters. We had Quake, we had Duke Nukem, we had Unreal Tournament. We were really the de facto standard for first-person shooters, and all PC-based at that point in time. But GT Interactive was merged with a European company called Infogram. The footprint that GT Interactive had in the U.S. was both a publishing and a distribution footprint. Infogram had that in Europe. It was a perfect marriage of us coming together. After we merged, we bought the interactive division of Hasbro, and in the repertoire of Hasbro IP was the Atari brand. Atari as a brand had been through 3 iterations. It was going through its 3rd iteration when we did the merger between GT, Infogram, and the Hasbro Interactive division. We relaunched the company as Atari. I was at the NASDAQ pushing the button when the day we renamed the company Atari, and you would have thought I think legitimately thought it was an IPO because our stock doubled that day when we went purely on a name change and showed the power of Atari. It was an okay implementation. We did a lot of good things with it. It did morph into more now, as you're likely aware. Atari is mostly a licensing shell now. Do a lot of licensing work. They are trying to bring a vintage console back. They've done a number of things in mobile space. And I've been working. Fred Chenet is the CEO, not guy I know well. I'm trying to get them to embrace and get more involved in competitive video gaming with all they're doing. The brand still is a killer brand, still one of the most iconic brands of gaming that exists. But some updating that needs to go on there, and that's the background, because that's how it all came to be.
And you got into that realm and made those changes, and then from there, I wanted to highlight, because I feel like some of the companies that you're involved with were like the pioneers in digital distribution within gaming, and I want to hit on that because my uncle is a musician, and he's been in the music industry for 40 plus years. And I remember around 2000, 2001, he started telling me he's going to change his record label to a digital record label and start talking to me about distribution. I'm like, this old man is crazy. But he was going to all of the conferences, and you probably were too. And that was the hot thing. Like, we're gonna go direct to consumer. I want to talk about that because that hits home for me, because I remember that time set.
That's a really interesting time, Christopher, that was going on, and we as the gaming industry, saw all this upheaval going on in the music industry. Mm-hmm. And your uncle probably will agree with this. This is kind of my opinion, but I don't think it's inaccurate. Is that the music industry screwed up just about everything they could to make entertainment in the digital. Remember, Napster came along, and all of a sudden, if you downloaded Napster, you were a criminal because you were bootlegging and pirating music. And then you saw what the music industry did; they were suing consumers, and they could. I mean, that's the thing. What people were doing was against the licensing and all the copyright laws that existed at the time. But that is not a way to have a warm following from a group of consumers by suing everybody. And the record labels were behind it. The RIAA was behind it. And it finally, as we saw this going on, I said, well, they're just alienating everybody. And it did propel people to do more criminal activity, so to speak. Not that I would view anybody as criminals, but they had a big opportunity to do it properly, and they kind of botched it the first time around.
Sure.
We saw that, not long after the music industry went digital, started to go digital, book industry went digital. They handled it in a far better way, although there were some hiccups there. The video industry also now fully a little bigger obstacles from a technological perspective because of the file size, but now you see, just about every game is available via download. Still, there are physical copies in stores. You can still walk into a Target and a Walmart and buy a physical copy, but so much of the consumption now and the conversion is done via digital. And we saw that early. We saw that very early. We probably were too early, but we made a lot of inroads through partners. We didn't have our own download platform, but through partners like Oberon and a number of others that were building digital platforms, we went the route of making our software, our game title, our game IP available via digital distribution. And at the time was a radical idea, I was kind of bashing how the music industry handled all this, but also help us learn the right way to do it.
True.
So we saw many wrong ways to do it, and helped us get our arms around the right way to do it. And now, of course, so prevailing in our business, the free-to-play model.
That changed the game.
Yeah, changed the game. Yeah, changed the game. So no, it was an interesting time to go through. Again, I'll give the music industry credit for helping us, do
figure it out.
But it was a tough time. It's not a judgment. It was, you didn't know what to do. It was a really difficult time, and this whole disintermediation of the middleman to get to a consumer. Now that's standard. But not in the era that wasn't the way it worked. And so we I think we had a hand, at least on the gaming side, help to facilitate that.
For sure. The next topic I wanted to cover, which is esports EDU and tournaments, which you mentioned earlier in your introduction speech. But you know, I've done my research too. You mentioned 2018 being a real like critical year, and I want you to mention that in this podcast. But also, like, where do you see the landscape? You mentioned pipeline. Where do you see the landscape as of right now? What can be better? What's not being done? What's being done that you like? I want to get your spill on that too.
You're good to broaden not just college but EDU overall, because I visited big high schools weighing in on this in really good ways. I think that's a lot harder to organize because of how traditional sports organization. But I think there are really good models there. What Play VS is doing is a pretty good start. But I would tell you that in the EDU space, energy is phenomenal for esports. Everybody's seeing the opportunity. It's not just participation; it's the fact that now schools are embracing curriculum, generating curriculum, building curriculum, because kids want to have careers. They may be a pretty good player, but they see the opportunities as
for careers.
Or business or analytics or marketing or whatever. The job opportunities, again, very, very much in parallel with traditional sports. Esports has those same opportunities. And so the energy around all what the schools are doing, it's no longer a novelty. People see it as, man, this is for real, and we've got to get behind it and support it. At the same time, as you know, Christopher, it's very fragmented. It is fragmented. We had and I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing for now. It's what it's doing. The fact that there's so much energy going on, and so many ways to participate for a school to participate or get involved. That's a good thing. It's just bringing more people into this this developmental funnel that I referenced earlier. But sure. At some point that doesn't work. That will just add to confusion. That will add to people not getting it, and most importantly, of course, where so much of the economic engines are around sponsors. And the more fragmented it gets, the less understood it gets, and that will scare away sponsors. So there is some. Obviously, there's a lot of great work being done to organize and galvanize collegiate esports. Frankly, I love what Learfield's doing. I think when we were looking for a strategic partner back in 2017 and 2018, they were top of my list because they're in many regards they're more important than the NCAA because they control the money for every Power 5 school and more. So they are a bit of a behemoth. There's no question about that. But at the same time, they didn't dive in when they could have. They studied the space. I know the principals there who made a lot of the decisions. They were very thoughtful about how they did this. And now I think they're on a really good track. Now, is that the end all be all answer? Probably not, because they're really focused on the Power 5. But they are doing some things to take that level of service, that MMR business that they run, and bring other schools in, and they're doing it around esports. I'm just that's one model that I think can work really well. I was involved, as you know, Christopher, with the HBCU Esports Alliance with Rod Chappell. He's got another really good, Ryan Johnson at Community and Ryan at GA, also doing some good things, sort of in the micro level. Not the Power 5. CIAA is doing some great things as well. Really getting their heads and arms around it, but again, bringing more of a traditional structural approach. That's great. I think that I've been a fan of the traditional because it engenders understanding, immediate understanding. People are confused by the structure. So,
well, this is my take on it. When I believe, and I just had Mike Aguilar or Moog, that's what we call on, and we were talking. He made a valid point. on the back end, on the business end, esports is a one-on-one copy of traditional sports. On the cultural front, it's a different culture at the front and the front end. And so, when I hear people like yourself talk about, mirroring traditional sports, because it is, you know what I'm saying? So, in the EDU space, I think it's hard for them to get the whole ecosystem though. Like, I think they can see the traditional sports end of esports, but they don't understand the different pockets of communities. Like, if you play Call of Duty, that's a whole separate community than Fortnite.
That's right.
And, you know what I'm saying? So I don't think they get the community aspect and the different revenue engines behind those different game sets and skill sets that lead to careers. I think it's the overall system that people get kind of, especially in the educational realm, that people get kind of, like, wait a minute, what is this? Because there's so many layers.
Well, and of course, that, in a traditional sports realm, college or professional or high school for that matter, nobody owns the game of baseball. Nobody owns the game of football, but somebody does own Call of Duty. Somebody does own Fortnite. Somebody does own Rocket League, and so they become, in every regard, they become the NCAA for that title,
for that particular game.
For that particular game, and they can decide, okay, we're going to control it like Riot does, or they could say, like Epic does, they sort of share it around, and that's I don't think there's one right or wrong answer. But it's clear that, and I would argue that Riot probably has one of the best collegiate programs that exists for that title, and they're going to bring it for Valorant. They're going to bring it for it becoming more of a closed system, meaning that they're going to control it all. But they are very thoughtful about the other partners that they're bringing in, even though they might control they call it the Division 1, for Division 2 and JV and the other, again, more of a traditional sports analogy. They are bringing partners into. So I think they've got a really nice blend. It's a great program at the top end, very close, very much their management. But as you get into the Division 2s and JVs again,
sprouts out. Yeah,
it does open up nicely. So it's an interesting realm that college is in. Although I think that for the sake of esports, something has to give from a fragmentation perspective. It just is too much, and it might come down to having 8 or 10 NCAAs, so to speak, around League of Legends and around Call of Duty and around Madden, 2K League, and so it'll be interesting to see how this continues to evolve. We're still, as you know, Christopher, we're still so early in this.
Oh, sure. yeah.
There's so much more to play out.
Yeah, and I have to remind myself that it's still early, because if you're in it day to day, as you're looking at the different movement, and you we have to position ourselves where it's a solid foundation, so we can kind of be ready for anything that changes. And so, especially, I mentioned off air, especially in the educational space, I think you have educators that are doesn't really know what it means to build community and a foundation for growth. Right. Kind of like what you were saying about the developers. The game is the foundation that's there. We can control, our league, and then it sprouts out from there. And I think schools have to do the same thing. They have to realize, hey, we're going to own this. This is ours. This is for the students. And then let's build from there.
I think what I do think colleges and high schools, for that matter, have a unique opportunity is back to my earlier comment about their abilities to build a regional presence, a local presence.
Yep.
That's what they do. When you're at Southern University, you're drawing a crowd from and an audience from Baton Rouge. You're developing more presence and more awareness for esports in that market, and the more that happens, dotted out across the United States, that's a huge step in the right direction for.
Sure.
So You're doing God's work there, if you ask me, Christopher. That's
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. And that leads me to my last topic, Belong and Vindex, where you mentioned earlier, and what gravitated me to this, and probably what gravitated to you taking the job, is building that community in real time in a physical sense, and building these land centers and activations. Like, what do you see that looking like in the near future?
So as we get going, the Belong arenas are already, first of all, Vindex is the parent company, three big names there. Mike Sepso, Sundance Di Giovanni, and Adam Epsella, all MLG founders and operators, sold to Activision, became the foundation for the Overwatch League and Call of Duty League. Mike and Sundance were the sort of the strategy and vision side. Adam was the head of all the production side, best in class for live esports events. It had to flip to virtual last year, but did an amazing job getting that aspect of production up and operating. And the Belong piece of this is exactly that. I was drawn to it because I saw the opportunity to this whole notion of infrastructure, this whole notion of going local. That was very consistent with what I wanted to do with World Gaming and CSL for the previous 10 years. And so now to have not only a digital play but also a physical play, that's every publisher we talk to, every organization we talk to said now you have the perfect set of vehicles to help build infrastructure. It's the Sandlot baseball location. It's the digital network. That's sort of a weird to put digital on top of baseball, but so what starts can start very local and really tapping into a community, a physical community, as well as a community of gamers in that local market, can build up beautifully with this digital network of ours. Tournaments network, it's a content network, it's a community building network. So putting that all together, it's a really powerful. We're going to build 500 Belong arenas in the U.S. through 2025. We'll have 20 up and operating this year. There'll be another 1,000 getting started outside of the U.S. Already there's 27 up and operating in the U.K. Another 1,000 starting in 2022. Western Europe, South America, probably the Middle East as well. So it's a big plan, an ambitious plan, but again, to me, this is what will get. Esports is in a really great place at the moment, but this will take it to a whole nother level. We're not alone in this. So much energy going into building infrastructure for esports, not just us, but the publishers also. They see the big opportunity that we present and the support that we can provide to them. They've got all their hands full to build these pro realms. They need these funnels, these platforms to build more engagement at the amateur and the aspirational level.
For sure, I think that's where the movement needs to be. I think I mentioned foundation. That's what a foundation is. Like middle school, high school age, like that next generation after myself. And so I like what y'all guys are doing over there. And I always give the last 2 or 3 minutes to my guests to plug away. So tell people how they can reach you, how they can reach the Belong platform, their website, and anything else you have going on. One.
Thanks, Christopher. This has been great, and I didn't say this up front, but man, you have got a great setup. Your walk-in, very pro production. I'm very impressed with what you've done with your podcast. So that's pretty cool. So if anybody cares to reach me, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm the only Wim Stocks on LinkedIn. I'm fairly active there, so I'd encourage you to reach me. If you want to learn more about Belong, our website is www.belong.gg. And you'll see we don't have our U.S. website up and operating yet, but what you will see is all the content around the U.K. arenas. We haven't announced yet our first market. We'll be doing so shortly, and we'll looking like we're going to be up and operating in the July timeframe. But we have a big reveal coming, and I can't say too much more. But But that's we're excited about getting up and operating and getting this footprint built in the United States.
Awesome, man. And to give you a little further background, what people don't know about me in the esports realm, that I'm a visual artist and graphic designer before all of this. So that's why the production looks the way it looks.
Can you help me out here? I
can help you out.
You can see I need help. So
yeah, I got you. I'll take care of you. And so thank you for coming again. I'm going to remove you. Let me close out the show, and then we'll catch up.
Thank you.
All right,
cheers, everybody. Happy Memorial Day. Thanks again, Christopher.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Wim Stocks, and great guy, great person to get knowledge from in the space, very reachable. And that's what I like about our space, whether it's EDU, whether it's just, amateur or professional, everybody's accessible. Everybody wants to help. They want to see, this space and ecosystem grow in the organic and authentic form. And that's the type of people that I keep around me, man. So thanks again to Wim Stock for coming by. Control. Everybody knows I used to be 500 pounds. I say this every episode, but I got my life in order. And Control, drinkcontrol.com is the meal replacement that I use daily. And we're going to go to a commercial, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to close it out.
90% of people love statistics. We don't have any data to support that, so you'll just have to take our word for it. Control contains prebiotic fiber, the stuff that promotes healthy gut bacteria. Unlike unhealthy gut bacteria, it's healthy. It also contains digestive enzymes. They promote healthy digestion. You're probably starting to recognize a trend here. You know what else are healthy? Branched-chain amino acids. They support muscle growth and amp up your exercise performance. And MCTs help to control your appetite. 5 grams of fiber, 23 grams of protein, 22 vitamins and minerals, plus it's made with real pieces of cereal. Control. Statistically awesome.
That's right, people. Best meal replacement I ever had in my life. I had what you see at the bottom right here, man. The golden wheat flavor, man, is awesome. Drinkcontrol.com. Go play ES for 10% off. I'm telling you, I'll give you a perfect example. I'm not trying to sell it too much. Gave my mom a sample. She ordered a bag yesterday. But use that Go Play ES code for 10% off on that drink. It's been a pleasure as always. Our special guest is coming up Wednesday. You can find us on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, any platform that we live stream on. I'm Christopher Turner on LinkedIn, Traditional Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, iHeart, wherever you get your content from. We're there. Trust me. It's been a pleasure, and like I always say, go play esports.